We are on lesson 16.3, volumes of rectangular prisms. So this lesson is going to be on finding the volume of a rectangular prism, right? So what we already know is we already know how to find area. Area equals what? Equals length times width. So for instance, say this is the floor of your bedroom. You know that in measuring, we could measure, let's say we measure this line, and it is 6 feet. That is one-dimensional, right? As one dimension, just length. It's going to be 6 feet long. However, if we are measuring area, area is not one-dimensional. Area is two-dimensional, right? We have length and we have width. So if we have a bedroom that is 6 feet long and 3 feet wide, we multiply length times width, we get 18. But the feet, we put this little 2 there, and it means that this area is 18 feet squared, or 18 square feet. Either one is fine. We can't just put 18 feet. We can't say the floor is 18 feet because that would just be a one-dimensional long 18-foot line, and that doesn't represent your floor. Your floor is two-dimensional, length and width. So that's why we have this little 2. We say 18 feet squared or 18 square feet because area is two-dimensional. So area gets labeled in square units, we'll say. Square feet, square inches, square miles. That's all review. We've already learned that. So we're going to take that knowledge and we are going to move it into talking about volume. Volume is very similar to figuring out area. But instead of just having length and width, volume is actually going to be three-dimensional. So your answers are going to be in units cubed. So a little 3 up there. Or cubic units. Okay, does that make sense? If you are measuring straight lines, like this, your answer is just your answer. It is just 6 feet. If you are dealing with area, it is two-dimensional, length and width. So your labels are going to be with a little 2 exponent, meaning it's squared, or square feet. If you are doing volume, it is three-dimensional. You have length. We're going to go down here on this box right here. You have length and width like normal, but we are adding a third dimension, which is the height. Okay, it's not just a floor, it's not just a wall, it's not just a ceiling. It is actually a prism that contains space in the middle. So there's height. So now we have 3 dimensions. So it's going to be in, for instance, it could be feet cubed or cubic feet. All right, we have one-dimensional, we have two-dimensional area, we have three-dimensional with volume. Let's get started looking at this first example of finding volume. Volume being three-dimensional, length, width, and height. There are 2 different ways we are going to learn to find the volume of a rectangular prism. So let's look at our example. A part for a computer is built to fit in a casing that is a rectangular prism with the dimensions shown in the diagram. Find the volume of this casing. Okay, so here is our example. It gives us this box or this rectangular prism, and you can see that it gives us the length is 5 centimeters, the width is 3 centimeters and the height is 2 centimeters. All right, so if we look over to the right here at this example where it is all cubed up, right, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in length, 1, 2, 3 in width, and 1, 2 in height. Okay, so the first way that we can look at this is count the unit cubes. All right, count the unit cubes. Well, let's do that. You can find the volume of a prism by counting the cubes it contains in each layer and then adding them together. So let's find the number of cubes in this. It's easiest, obviously, with this one. The top layer is visible. So let's count the cubes on the top layer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this top layer has 15 cubes. But there are 2 layers. There's one underneath here, right? So it says find the number of cubes in the bottom layer. Well, we counted the top layer is 15. Count the cubes in the remaining layers. Remember that each layer will have the same number of cubes. So there are 15 cubes in the top layer. Add the cubes found in all the layers. So you know if there are 15 cubes in the top layer, you can add 15 more for the next layer and get to 30. There are 30 cubes in all. The volume of the prism is 30 centimeters cubed. Look at that. There's our 3 for three-dimensional. 30 centimeters cubed. Okay, now the other way to do this is to look at it as a multiplication problem. So, let me pull this down just a little bit here. Okay, the other way says to multiply the edge lengths. Okay, it says you can find the volume of a rectangular prism by multiplying its 3 dimensions. Multiply the length times the width times the height. So there we get our formula for volume. Volume equals length times width times height. Again, remember, area equals length times width. We've already done those, so the only difference that you're doing is you're taking that and you're multiplying it by the height also. All right, so let's look at this. Volume equals the length of this box right here was 5 centimeters. The width was 3 centimeters up here. The height was 2 centimeters. So all you have to do is take 4 times 3 times 2, right? 5 times 3, 15. 15 times 2 equals 30. The volume of the casing is 30 cubic centimeters or 30 centimeters cubed. Okay, so that's our sample one. Let's move further down and see what else we can find to practice so that you really get the hang of it. Whichever way is easiest for you is what you are going to use. You might count the cubes and add however many layers there are, or you might want to use volume equals length times width times height. Either one is going to be fine and will get you the same answer. And you may want to do both to double check your work. Let's look at some examples. Find the volume of each figure. So this one says use counting to find the volume. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's use counting. Let's count the layer that's visible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 12 on the top layer. So you have another layer right here with the same amount. So you're going to take 12 plus 12 in the bottom layer equals, add them together, 24. 24 what? Well, these are inches. So 24 inches cubed because it's 3-dimensional. So you can see there that I just added the 12 cubes that were on the top layer and the 12 cubes that were obviously on the bottom layer since they both match. And you get your answer just by adding the layers. But number 2 says use multiplication to find the volume. Well, we know volume equals length times width times height. So let's fill in length first. The length is 6 feet times the width, which is 3 feet, times the height, which is 3 feet. So we've got 6 times 3 times 3. Well, why don't we do 3 times 3? That's 9. 6 times 9 equals 54. 54 what? These are feet, so 54 feet cubed. Okay, so here we've got our directions saying find the volume of the figure. Now, these ones, obviously, we cannot count cubes because they're not there. Unless you're going to divide up your prism, we're just going to go ahead and go with our formula for volume, which is volume equals length times width times height. So here we go. Let's just write that volume equals, what's the length? The length is here. We've got 8 feet times the width is 2 feet times the height, which is right here, 3 feet. 8 times 2 times 3. Well, let's see. Let's take those together. Those are 6. 8 times 6 equals 48 feet. What? Feet cubed, because it's 3-dimensional. There's your answer for the volume of this box right here. How much volume fits in there, or how much volume it takes up. All right, let's do this prism right here. Let's do it again. Volume equals length times width times height. So volume equals, what's the length? 3 centimeters times width, 4 centimeters times height, 7 centimeters. Now, some of you might be asking in your mind, does it matter if you do length, width, height, height, width, length? What if I don't know which is with the width, which is the length, which is the height of a box? It doesn't matter, right? Because the commutative property of multiplication says that it doesn't matter what order you multiply things in. So let's go ahead and do this one. Volume equals, what's 3 times 4 is 12, and we're going to multiply that by 7, okay? And that's going to equal 84. 84 what? Well, these are centimeters, so centimeters cubed is going to be your answer for number 4. Okay, let's try number 5. Volume equals length times width times height. The length is 15 inches times the width, which is 8 inches, times the height, which is 12 inches. Okay, so here we've got a big problem, and you're going to have to do some work with some of these. 15 times 8. Well, I don't know my 15s table, so you're going to have to do the work. 15 times 8, 8, 12, is 120. And we've still got this 12 over here. So now you've got 120 times 12. Okay, 0, 4, 2 equals, oh, I got crunched there, is going to equal 1,440 inches cubed is going to be the volume for number 5. All right, now I want to do these last 3. What they are going to do on your homework and on your math test is they want you to be able to find the missing dimension of the figure. Okay, so let's do that over here. If you still have volume equals length times width times height. Let's look at number 6. The length is 3, so volume equals 3 times 5 5 times, oh look we do not have the height, but what we do have is they gave you the volume. So now we have 7.5 is equal to 3 times 5 times something. How are we going to find that out? Well, here's how we're going to do it. We are going to say 7 times 5 equals, let's do the multiplication that's there, equals 15 times something. 7.5 equals 15 times something. How are we going to figure that out? Well, we are going to take 7.5, and if we divide it by 15, then we would get this answer, right? Remember to multiply, to correct multiplication, you can divide. So if you take this number divided by this number, you will get this number. Let's make an easier one so you can see how that works. If you would have 50 equals 5 times what? What could you do? You would take 50 divided by 5, and you would get this answer. You do the opposite. This is calling to multiply, so the opposite is true. 50 divided by 5 equals 10, right? 5 times 10 is what's going to equal 50. So let's go back down to this problem. 7.5 divided by 15 equals something. Well, it's a good thing we know our decimals. Let's go all the way over to here. 7.5 divided by 15. 15 does not go into 7. We had to move our decimal place up. Does 15 go into 75? Let's try 5. 25. Yes, it goes perfectly. So the answer is, how high is it? It is 0.5 or 5/10 of a what? Of a meter cubed. I'm sorry, 5/10 of a meter. We do not cube that. Why do we not cube that? Because what we're doing is we are just saying one dimension, right? This is not our answer. It's not a three-dimensional answer. It's actually just, it's actually just this measure up and down. So it is not even cubed or squared. You're just saying what the height is, and the height is 0.5 meters. Okay, let's do a few more since that can be a little bit confusing. You will get the hang of it. I am thoroughly convinced. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff. All right, so here we go. We've got volume, which they already have right here. Look, they gave us the volume. So we have 810 feet cubed equals length times width times height equals 5 times, we don't know the height, but we do know the length. I'm sorry, the width. 5 times 18 times what is going to equal 810? Well, let's do this part of it. 18 times 5 is going to be 90. So 90 times something equals 810. Well, we can just divide, right? 810 divided by 90. Or you can take away these zeros and just say 81 divided by 9. What is, let's just do it the long way. I'm running out of space here. Let's go over to the corner here. 810 divided by 90. Well, 90 doesn't go into 8. 90 doesn't go into 81. But 90 does go into 810 9 times. So, what is the height? The height is going to be 9 feet because 15 times 5 times 18 times 9 does equal 810. Okay, number 8. Once again, we are going to be looking at volume equals length times width times height. Does it give us the volume? It does right here. 330 centimeters cubed equals the length, which we don't know, times the width times the height. So 330 equals something times 6 times 5. Well, let's figure this out. This is 30. So something times 30 equals 330. So let's divide 330 by 30 and it will get the missing answer. 330 divided by 30. 30 doesn't go into 3. It goes into 33 once. And 30 goes into 30 once also. So our answer is 11. Goes in the box. 30 times 11 equals 330. So 11 centimeters. Okay, so you are going to have just regular find the volume problems, which means just do volume equals length times width times height, figure out the answer. And then you're also going to have find the missing dimensions in the figure problems, where you need to actually divide the volume by this part over here, whether it's length times width or width times height, whatever it is, to get the missing dimension. Okay, well, I hope that really makes sense to you. And the good thing is you've got a workbook. I'm going to assign your page 2, and the rest you can do for practice if you don't think you're going to understand it. As always, do your work, correct your work, take a picture of your work, and then submit it to me. All right, have a great